My father's father had a farm and also ran a tavern. I know about the farm because my father always remembered the farm and always wanted to do gardening and a little bit of farming, which he was able to do finally when he was older. Oh, my grandfather was also a scholar, but not a very good farmer because every time there was a problem on the farm, what he would do, instead of asking the local people what to do, he would go to the rabbi and ask the rabbi what to do, who knew nothing more about farming than he did. But that was the custom. You go to the rabbi if you have a question, no matter what the question was. My father, when we were here in the United States, used to show us how he sowed seeds in the field. So every summer, when we took up the rugs, which you did then, you took up the wool rugs for the summer, he would lay a carpet of mothballs. Sitting in one corner, he would lay the complete carpet of mothballs, no two mothballs touching each other, and all equidistant from each other, which was how he sowed seeds in the field. I don't have enough. Yeah, I can be talking.
Just don't worry about it,
Yeah.
Just ignore it.
My mother and father were both uh, not of the poorest group. Their neighbors and relatives, the women, did most of the work. They went out in the fields and took care of the gardens. They sold in the marketplace. They went out in the woods and gathered wood that they sold in the marketplace. So the women had to rely on the older children to take care of the younger children. And the women, contrary to what you read about in Europe, were always working. There were no, except the very rich people, all the other women worked. They did not stay home with the children.
So your grandmother's worked or didn't work?
Well, she had a store. She ran a store.
And your father?
I'm too soon for me to hear any stories about her. There were 7 boys and a girl in that 2 girls in that family. So there are enough hands to do anything.
Mm-hmm. And when is this? 18.
Pre-World War I. The era I'm talking about.
Your grandparents? Wouldn't that be?
My grandparents were in Europe pre-World War I. My grandfather was the first one to come over.
On your mother's side?
On my father's side.
Oh, okay.
He was the first one to come over. And
to Toronto?
He went to Canada, to Brooklyn. Came over before World War II, before World War I. He came over and each year brought another one of the sons over with the money he earned in the United States. I don't know what he did.
But why did he come here?
To get a better life for his children. There was no real life in the ghetto. Just too restricted. So he wanted his children to have a better life.
Restricted because of poverty or because of
poverty, and because they couldn't get out of the ghetto. You couldn't leave the ghetto.
The Jews couldn't leave the ghetto?
No. Well, that's when they came into the ghetto and killed the people or burnt their houses. That's the pogrom.
Okay.
but there was less prevalent in the part of her than in the Ukraine. The Ukraine was the worst place to be, and they were not there. They were in a fairly reasonable area. So my grandfather brought each of his 5 boys and 2 girls over, one by one. My father being the youngest, the last one to go. And I guess they didn't own the farm. You could only rent it from whoever was I forgot what you call the head of the area, the landowner. No Jews could own any property.